Luke chapter 10 and verse 38, you don't have to have a Bible or even have read one because I've got it up on the big digital Bible in the sky. It says, as Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Side note, the closest family unit to Jesus in his entire life and ministry, other than his own natural family, was a little family made up of the older sister Martha, little sister Mary, and little brother Lazarus. They have quite a story with Jesus. There's more passages with them in it, but this is one of the hallmark passages where Jesus goes to the home of Martha and Mary. Her sister, it says, verse 39, Mary, sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he taught. Martha was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. She came to Jesus and said, Lord, doesn't it seem unfair? This seems like an internet post. Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work? Tell her to come and help me. I have so many NFL Kansas City Chiefs jokes. It's weird tonight. They're just, at every turn, I could just make fun of Kansas City Chiefs, and I feel bad because I have friends here who love the Chiefs, and so I'm gonna do my best because the NFL is the WCW. It's a fixed fight. Okay, and the Lord said to her, it's fine, it's all entertainment, it's fine. My dear Martha, you are worried and upset over all these details. And listen to this is it. There's only one thing worth being concerned about. Mary has discovered it. And here's the part that I've never preached on before and really got my attention the last several days. And it will not be taken away from her. Jesus insinuates and alludes in his language here that he has the power to take the moment from Mary, and seems to allude to the fact that there are things in life that can be taken away. Whatever Mary is doing in front of Jesus in that moment is one of the few things in this life that cannot be taken. I want to explore that. I want to look at that and see what happens. That brings me to date night with my beautiful wife who's absent tonight because she's writing a book about our marriage. Let that sink in a little bit. That's ironic. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. She hasn't even heard this sermon yet. I'd like to impress her. She said, all I'd really want to do, sweetie, I called her. I haven't seen her all day, not a big deal. And I called her and I said, hey, see you at the Saban. She goes, oh, I can't make it. I said, what? Why? She said, why, I'm writing this book. And I was like, and what's the book about again? Marriage. I need your support. But anyways, that's not the point. We went on date night on Friday night in this beautiful city. And we were, to be exact, I think we were in Culver City. Culver City's great, man. I love Culver City. So we're rolling around downtown Culver City. I don't know if it's really a downtown, but it's called downtown Culver City. And we're walking around, and we meandered through furniture shops. Because one of our favorite things to do is go look at furniture. Chelsea grew up actually in a home that sold flooring. Carpet, flooring, that was her family business. And so she is very much, has an eye for texture and rooms. And so we're just going through and we're looking at different lighting and furniture and having a great time. And then we decide, hey, let's now just kind of spontaneously meander the streets of Culver City and see if we can find a good spot for date night. So we landed on this grill/bar, right? All the cool kids are going. And I said, let's go there. She said, well, and true to my wife of 25 years, she's like, I mean, it looks all right. So we stand and look at the menu. This is what old married couples do. You look at the menu and you look at your spouse and you're like, does that sound good to you? And she's like, no. And I'm like, yeah, not me neither. I hate that menu. All right, well, let's go look somewhere else. And so we go and look at another spot and she's like, this seems nice. I like the lighting, right? This is good. Yeah, I like it. So we're on our way in. She's not here, so I'm going to tell you the truth about her. And so we're walking our way and she's like, no, I don't, this doesn't feel good. I'm like, totally. I was starting to really not love this place either. So this is how you stayed married for 25 years. So we walk out of that shop. We look at another restaurant. And she's like, no. And then she goes, the first place, which is the one I chose at the beginning, would have saved us 22 minutes or so. And we went back and she goes, let's go here. And I'm like, great choice, great choice. Upon approaching the front door of this grill/bar, immediately a sign, very large sign, like the size of this stool, is like right in front of me, and it says very clearly, photo ID required, no exceptions. Well, I panic. I'm like, I never have anything on me. Credit cards, photo ID, I'm a mess. And so I'm like, I got my phone, right? And so I'm like, all right, what am I gonna do? And Chelsea literally has every credit card we've ever had in the last 25 years of our marriage, okay? She's just to keep them just in case so no one can get them out of the garbage and put them together and take our credit. So, I mean, she has like vaccination notices, not that I'll tell you my status. And she's like, yeah, no problem. And I look at the guy, kind of a bouncer kind of guy, and I'm like, oh man. So I immediately approach him and I say, hey, immediately negotiation. I said, listen, I got a photo of my ID. Right? And I'm waiting for him to go, man, I don't know. And I'm like, come on, bro. But instead, something very odd happens. Very odd. Hurtful, really. He looks at me and he gives me one of these. He's like, and I'm like, does he know me? Has he read one of my books? I mean, what are we doing here? I'm kidding. I didn't think that at all, to be honest. And he goes, literally, Chelsea will tell you this is true. He goes, I think we're good, man. We're looking for kids. And he started laughing. And then my wife started laughing. And I filed for divorce last week. I'm kidding. Come on, guys. It's a joke. Probably not a good one about divorce. Okay, so, but he starts laughing, and I'm like, the only thing you can do in that moment is be like, dude, yeah, thanks, man. But it really got me. So much so we go into the restaurant, we sit down, we like at the bar, right? Like we're like at the bar. Now, if you grew up in church like I did, like you're crazy, bro, if you sit at the bar facing all the bottles. That's like wild living, okay? So I'm like a preacher at the bar. And I'm still in my head about the man who laughed at me when I simply followed the sign. And I'm sitting there and Chelsea's saying something and I'm not listening. And like, I gotta go to the bathroom. But I don't have to. I just got to go collect myself. And I'm just walking to the bathroom, and I'm just taking inventory of this bar. And I'm like, these people look old. Older than me. I'm like, I got to dye my beard or something. And I'm walking. This is a real story. I walk into the bathroom, and I go right into the mirror. And I'm like, what's happened to you, bro? And I'm like looking. I'm like, bro, no wonder he laughed. Look at you. Like, you're not a kid, buddy. And I have this whole little pep talk, and then I just decide I'm going to let it go, and we're going to have a great date night. Went back, had a great date night. We made love that night. But the point is, first time in 6 weeks, she had an operation. All is well. It's a true story. All right, listen. Let's focus on the main thing here, church. Like, church, bro? You do this in church? Here's what I'm saying. Life, I love you guys. Life is fleeting. I looked up the definition of the word fleeting, and it means something that is very, very short. Something that does not last long. Solomon said, all the great sages and philosophers have been quoted saying something to the effect of, life is fast. Before you know it, you think you need your ID, and the bouncer looks at you and says, oh, sweetie, youth has passed you by. You'll never need ID for the rest of your life. And he literally went like this, just to draw attention to what my children have done to me. And these gray hairs. Life is fleeting. I know you don't think you think I'm being silly. I really meant it. Like, it actually hit me like, yeah, I'm not a kid. And some of you are like, yeah, bro, are you okay? No, I'm not okay. I need therapy just like you. But life is fast. I hear myself talk. I've been married 25 years. And I can't believe that I'm the guy saying that. I really can't. I told a friend today, yeah, I've been married 25 years. And I hear that come out of my mouth, and I'm like, who said that? I'm still the youth pastor, the newlywed. But no, life is, it's interesting, right? Because have you ever had this thought? How much of my days are spent on things that are fleeting? Fleeting. Even Tom Brady who played till he was 62. Like, eventually you got to retire. Like, it's fleeting. I don't know whatever your politics is, but for me, and maybe it's my age, watching the incoming president, but the outgoing president, and the outgoing president making that walk to the helicopter, and it's done. You had the most powerful office, and now you're being whisked away, and you're no longer the president. There's something inside you that's like, whoa, this thing goes fast. Come on, man. I mean, January 7th happens, and my friends send me a photo of one little fire that started. Just like you, I'm watching this little billow of smoke, and I'm thinking that'll be out soon, and it keeps growing, and I'm turning on the TV like you are, and I'm like, wait, the winds are picking up, and it's jumping, and it's, wait, what? Wait, what? I got friends texting me like, bro, please pray, my house is, it's like 5 blocks away, it's 1 mile, I don't, what? Wait, yesterday my house was there, today it's gone. And you notice, like, we're not really made for this. You ever notice that? There's a part of our brain that's like, what? They're gone? My dad's gone. He's just gone. Like, I'm never going to see him again. My mom texted me this morning. She goes, I was sure I heard your dad in the house today, and he was talking to you. She goes, it was so odd. My dad's been gone, dead, 12 years. My mom said, I walked around the house looking for him. I don't know why. Hey, Dad loves you. You know, it's just a moment between mom and son. I'm like, I miss him too, Mom. Love you. Like, what is going on? Life is a vapor. And only a fool would ignore the signs that tell you what really matters. But think of all the time and effort and energy and stress and wringing of our hands that we do over things that you will lose eventually. Life is like dog years. I was talking to my therapist about my dog, Louie. Louie's like the light of my life in so many ways. This little dog, one of the reasons I love him a lot is because he can't talk. It's great. You know what I mean? God knew what he was doing. Like, if this dog started talking to me like, I don't like your hat, I'd be like, whoa, Louie, you've changed. Like, I like that he can't talk and just wag his tail. And all I can think of is he's like, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. You know, like, that's what I hear. And I hug him and I kiss him. And I told my therapist, like, this dog, like my daughter Grace and I, we talk about it all the time, this dog is only going to live like 12, 13, 14. Little dogs can live less. I have friends here recently lost their dog. I think about them every day. I think about their dog that's gone. I'm like, and I look at my Louie and I'm like, this is, ah! So I went to my therapist, who I think believes in God, but I believe in God for the both of us, you know? And I'm like, so what do you think? And she said, you know, I asked a friend of mine who's got a lot of faith, why do you think God made dogs' lives so short? And she said, I've concluded so that we don't give up on humans. And I was like, that's a good point. That's a really good point. If you love a dog, you know what I'm talking about. Because you're like, I gotta be honest. Humans, I don't know. But Louie is a sure thing. But dog years are funny because we all know, you know, dogs, they only live so short. Newsflash, you only live so short. I only live so short. This life is precious any way you cut it, any way you slice it, any way you look at it. So let's ask an important question again. What really matters? What really matters? What matters to you? What matters to you? I don't know, man. I'm 46. I'm reflective. My son's in his senior year of basketball. He's a phenomenal basketball player. I think he's averaging 20 points a game and 11 rebounds a game. I'm so proud of him. He just got an offer from a college. He's everything I ever wanted to be in a high school basketball player. He's 6'5". He's handsome. I'm proud of him. We go to all these gyms in LA, and I look at all the banners. I can't help it. I'm nostalgic. I'm 46. And I see all these banners. By the way, banners back in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, they embroidered them. They're much cooler. Now we have like iron-on banners. I'm serious. I thought about that too. But you look at all these banners, and I can't help but think of all the hours that these high schoolers for the last 75 years is reflected in these banners. And most of them are doing this. The banner's like shriveling. And you can't make out, is that 88? Is that 98? Is that cross country or is that cross bow? What team and what year? And you think there was a coach and there was a team and there was hours and there was weeks and there was months and there was seasons and there was years all reflected. And I'm not saying I love high school sports. Are you kidding me? Stop it. I love it. But it's fleeting. It's fleeting. Your work is so important. Can I just say your craft, your art, your career, I'm for it. I'm doing mine right now, ironically. So you know it matters. But does it really matter? What really matters? What can they never take from you? Because they can take this mic from me. They can. They can, this thing that I'm doing, it's gonna end someday. What can they not take from me? Now, if you're like a particular character in this story, ironically, in this life, we seem to be convinced of what really matters, and let's have some fun a little bit, okay? So let's go back to the story just for a few minutes, and then I'll be done before you know it. Mary and Martha. So Martha is the older sister, Mary is the younger sister, and by birth order, they kind of fit the bill, okay? This is kind of cliches, this is kind of generalizations, so bear with me, okay? But Mary is the older sister who seems to be far more, sorry, did I say Mary? Martha is the older sister who seems to be far more responsible. Mary is the younger sister who seems to be a free spirit, okay? Martha's from New York, Mary lives in LA. All right, Judy, you can't start doing cities and stuff. That's not okay. All right. I talked to a guy yesterday from New York. He's like, LA people are weird. And I'm like, you guys work hard, too hard. Okay, so, anyways, the story goes, it seems, bear with me, it seems Jesus, who by the way has become quite a considerable public figure at this point. So much so that whether or not you believe he's exactly who he says he was, who he believes he claims to be God in the flesh, you would be thrilled to have him over because he's kind of the guy at this point. Very popular. Everyone's talking about him, good, bad, or ugly. Jesus shows up in their home unexpectedly, and now they have a relationship, but Martha thinks to herself, here's why I think it was unexpected, because she's got nothing prepared. The charcuterie board is not prepared. She hasn't prepared anything. So she immediately, Jesus arrives, she's like, I'm so glad you stand by. And she goes into the kitchen to do what is culturally acceptable. To be the consummate host. To honor the man of God. To honor Jesus. Mary does the negligent, artistic thing to do. Completely irresponsible. Irregard of what she should do and what the culture says and what's the norm and what's acceptable. She sits crisscross applesauce in front of Jesus. She gets her carpet square. Anybody grow up in kindergarten, get carpet square? And she sits in front of Jesus, and the Bible says she's hanging on every word, and he's talking, and he's talking, and he's talking. And Martha, who is responsible doing the acceptable things, she also pays the bills and the mortgage, and this is ridiculous. She never does anything, and she's not even grateful. And at any moment, Martha's in there just stewing. She's stewing. And finally she comes in. Look how convinced Martha is of what actually matters. She sounds like every coach and teacher and leader I've ever had in my whole life. And by the way, I am that leader and I am that coach. And this has been my message so often. She comes in and she says, God, Jesus, it ain't even fair. This is not fair. I'm sure you'd like to eat. I'm sure you didn't come here just to sit around and do nothing. I'm sure you want some food. This is unfair. Now, Martha wouldn't be saying this. She's essentially she wants to put words into God's mouth. Tell her, God, say to her, oh, how many times in this country, coaches and teachers and leaders and public figures have told us what God says. God says you need to work hard. God says that you should get off your derriere and start doing something and making a difference. all you do is sit around and play video games. That'll get you nowhere, except a lot of people make a lot of money playing video games. I will add that caveat. How ironic. I had a friend of mine years ago. He said, I'm making sure my kids play video games. And I was like, I'm 46, so I'm a little out of the loop. And I was like, wait, what? What are you talking about? He's like, that's where the money is, dog. Like, they're going to be 12, 13. They're going to be paying my bills. And one of them is getting paid, by the way, one of his sons. And I'm like, you did it? Okay, so anyways, we're getting sidetracked. Bear with me. But you know the message of our country, right? It's the message of our country. It's the culture. Why don't you get up and do something? God helps those who help themselves. You want God to bless what you won't get up and work to do. All kind of messages and sermons, and God in this country is more of a football coach than a father. And we think God is in heaven giving us his celestial halftime speech. You want to win? You got to stay committed. Love each other. Do it for each other. Fight. Block. Tackle. Everyone play their part, do their part. Everybody in, let's go. Team on three, 1, 2, team. And that's God. Tell Mary to come in here and carry the load, do some work. And suddenly this story gets real un-American. Because Jesus, he does the unthinkable. He said, essentially, he says, no. And it's like, wait, no, that's the messaging of all of our mentors. You gotta work to survive. Man, I just want to say, man, I see you out there on your grind, dog. Thanks, man. That's what put food on the table. Yeah, that's right. I ain't got no time to lay around. I'm not binging nothing, dog. I'm out there doing my thing, working what the good Lord gave me. That's what I'm talking about. What is that? American. Now, I'm not here, bear with me. I'm not here to put down hard work. And I'll explain in a moment. But what are we going to do with this story? Because Martha says what every American has said to every other person that they perceive doesn't work hard enough or do enough. And God, instead of, now what I expect the scene to play out, right? If you're like me and you grew up in this country, what you expect to happen in this story is for God to say, you hear that? Now I let you sit in here because I want to teach you a lesson. Nothing is getting done while you're sitting in here doing nothing. You heard your sister. Now get up and be a part of the team. And carry your load and play your part. Come on, Mary. And I think the scene plays out and Mary kind of gets up and grabs her carpet square and throws it into the distance and says, I'm sorry. And Jesus says, I forgive you. Are you going to work harder? I'm going to work harder. Yeah, you are. What else are you going to do? I'm going to be side by side with Martha. We're always going to be a team. Now we're talking. What else are you going to do? And I'm going to get up early, and I'm going to cold plunge, and I'm going to have no more red 40, no more hydrogenated oils, and I'm going to minimize my caffeine intake. Now we're talking. And I'm going to read a book every week. Now we're talking, Mary. What else are you going to do? I'm going to do nice things for strangers. Now we're talking. That's America. Martha and Mary walk into the kitchen and they fix a good charcuterie board. And they march it together hand in hand to Jesus. And they lay it in front of him. And he says something to the effect of, this is what I'm talking about. And we're all like, that'll preach. Except the record has a glitch. And all of a sudden, Jesus, the leader, says, no, I'm sorry, what do you mean no? Like it's fair? No. She should work, she shouldn't work, she should just sit around and do nothing. No. What Mary has chosen is actually pretty much the one thing that really matters in life. And I'll never take this away from her. And the story closes. That's all we get. And you're like, I love these passages because we act like they're like, oh, that's such a good one. But I want to follow people up and be like, you're okay with that story? Because nothing in your Instagram speaks to this reality. All you show us is how hard you work. Our value system so much in this world is like, who works hard, dog? Hey, yo, mad respect. I see you out there. Appreciate that. Now, nowhere in this story, here's some good news. Some of you are like, I'm getting uncomfortable, bro. This guy's up there in that tweed suit looking like a college professor talking about he doesn't think hard work is good. I don't like this place you brought me, dog. When are we going to dinner? You paying, I'll tell you that much. All right. Nowhere in this story does Jesus put down Martha's hard work. Nowhere. Nowhere does Jesus say, and your hard work sucks. Man, I'm not about it. He simply elevates Mary's worship. He does not condescend Martha's work. It's called the power of prioritizing. He is for us right now in this story saying, here's what matters more than work. Now, I want to put in front of you the work mentality and the worship mentality, and I want to talk about it for a moment. Let's say Martha represents the work mentality, and let's say Mary represents the worship mentality. I'm going to show you a little secret, and I think this might resonate with you. What's interesting about when someone is work mentality first, they oftentimes will resent people with a worship mentality. You'll see them being like, you gonna lift your hands through this one? Let's see if lifting your hands pays your mortgage. Let's see if lift your hands gets you the part. What you need to do is memorize your lines. Oh, you gonna pray about it? Okay, while you're praying, I'll be over here working. And so oftentimes the work mentality gives you a tell, because it'll look at the worship mentality and say, that's lazy. But what's interesting about the worship mentality is the worship mentality very rarely resents the work mentality. The worship mentality simply puts work in its proper place. It just says, oh, work is important. Ladies and gentlemen, I practiced talking on the microphone before I presented to you this evening. I have spent a lot of hours doing this. Since I was a young boy, my dad gave me a microphone across the United States of America. I traveled between 8 and 11 years old. My dad, we visited every state except for North and South Dakota for obvious reasons. And my dad gave me the microphone at the end of every one of his seminars, and crowds just like this. I was 8, 9, 10, 11, and I had the mic in my hand, and I learned enunciation. I learned cadence. I learned, and my dad, I didn't know what my dad was doing, but so, listen, I'm for practice. I'm for hard work. But we have put more faith in work to deliver what? No. Not work to deliver results as far as income. We have put faith in work to satisfy our soul. And that's why you feel like you're missing something. Because when stuff burns and all you have is the work mentality, because here in our country, they tell you if you work hard enough, you can get one of them big houses. One of my friends got a $30 million home in the Palisades. Every home burned all around him. His didn't. He showed me his new view. It's devastating. So he's like, am I happy that my house was saved? I'm talking about real wealth and success. Now what? My brothers and sisters, ain't nothing wrong with a big house, and I hope you get a lot of them. But I'm going to tell you something. You set your soul on square footage and a home and a career and income. You may one day find yourself wondering, what really matters? What really matters? And you might find yourself resenting people who seem happy and don't have very much. And they're over there on one little carpet square. and you're mad because Porsche has delayed delivery of your new 911. Why are they so happy? They're happy because they're dumb and they're lazy. Tell yourself whatever you want. But very rarely do I see people with a worship mentality resenting. Hard work has its place, but it doesn't satisfy the soul like worship. Worship is different. So beware. You should have a work mentality. You should just have a worship one that supersedes that one. You should have a work mentality. It just shouldn't be the top mentality that runs your daily life. It should be worship. Now about this time, you're like, well, Judah, I don't even know if I believe in God. All right, do with the content what you will. I'm just saying, over here, things like stillness, quietness, meditation, my brothers and sisters, all of the research is now on ChatGPT. All you got to do is talk, and the research will come back to you and tell you. People who are not getting alone, getting quiet, in some cases turning out the lights and taking 5, 6, 7 minutes a day to quiet their mind and listen to the universe, if you want to call it. To me, it's listening to God. All of the research is telling us in our brain and our body something is happening to us that cannot happen when you are on the grind going from meeting to meeting. Some of you are in more meetings, you don't know what you're meeting about. You ever had a whole day of meetings and go, now what were all those meetings about though? And why did I do all those meetings? That's the American way. The more meetings you're in, the more important you are. Doesn't mean the more satisfied and fulfilled you are. What really matters? Jesus says whatever, and this is where I end, I'm coming to an end. Jesus says whatever Mary is doing, his language tells us, nobody can take that. What you build and what you work on, it's great. It has its place. But they can take it, you know. Somebody can exceed. I had a friend today on my drive to the Saban. He sent me a building and said, I'm thinking about putting my name on this building, which means it's a friend who got a lot of money. He's thinking about paying money, so they put his name on the building. I was like, do it, bro. I thought it was sick. I was like, do it. Ain't my money, do it. I'll come stand in front of the building and be like, it's your name, dog. But you can take that, you know. That won't last forever. Get your name on as many buildings as you want. I'll be there when they cut the ribbon and be like, yo, Jason Kennedy Auditorium, I'm in, right? But they can take that, you know, or worse, somebody can pay more money to take your name down and put theirs up. But Jesus says what's happening over here, which leads me, that's perfect timing, which leads me to say statements like this, and it's hard, and I'll explain it in the next few moments as I'm ending. Worship never ages. Worship never fades. Worship does not leak. Worship only builds. Now, I'm going to tell you a dirty little secret. I'm 46 now, so I've been through some stuff. I didn't want to be through stuff, but I've lost loved ones, heroes. I've had friends come into my life, leave my life, and won't speak to me ever again. I've had family members put things on the internet, lies about me, and say that I'm doing things that I'm not doing. And I haven't been great with it, to be honest. It's been hard. And what I haven't really told you is what I'm about to tell you right now. In those moments where my head spins and I wonder what in the world is happening to my life, what's going on with my friends, my family, I don't understand. I'm going to tell you something. There is a well. I didn't know that I was building a well, but I've accessed a well. And the only thing I can tell you is this well is a well I call worship. And in that well is water that never evaporates. And all I can tell you is moments I had with God when I was 7 and 8 and 12 and 14 have gone into this well. And little Judah didn't know that someday in his 40s, he would need what happened to him when he was 11. In Boise, Idaho, when I sat on the front row, and all of a sudden I heard what the closest thing to the audible voice of God say, you'll be a voice of this generation, and I'm going to give you words to speak and say. And my body started to shake, and I told my dad, and I was crying, and I was weeping. I didn't know that someday I'd be in my 40s with friends leaving my life, wondering if I am a fake and I am a fraud, had no idea that I would dip down into a well of worship that's still there, that would tell me as a grown man, you are exactly who God called you to be. And the same God that met you at 11 is with you today in your 40s. And when you weren't there and there was nobody to DM me and text me and call me and encourage me, when I was supposed to encourage you, I went to a well that they can't take from me. You can't take it from me. You can take my career. You can take my reputation. You can take my money. You can take my health. You can assault my family. But what you can't take is what will get me through. Because that well belongs to me and God. And it never ages. And it never leaks. And it never fades. It only grows. And so when I need it most, and you're not around, I go into that well, and I remember the moments I've had with the maker of heaven and earth. And it's why I'm still here. I swear to you. And so you might ask, I'm not a big worshiper. You should try. Worship isn't really what you think it is. We think worship is music. We think worship is albums. We think worship is song. But worship is simply this. This is the best definition I could ever give you for worship. At my stage and my age and where I'm at, here's my best definition. Worship is when you realize and prioritize the person of God over everything. So here's what's crazy. Worship can happen like this. This is how it happens to me. I'll be walking to a cafe to have coffee with you. And all of a sudden, a blue jay swoops down. And my mind goes, boom. And the blue jay lands on the oak tree next to me on the corner of the cafe I'm going to. And all of a sudden, I stop for a moment, and I look at this blue jay, and I think to myself, how blue is this blue jay? Dang, that's blue. That's like true blue. That's like cobalt blue. How blue is that blue jay? God, you made that blue jay blue. You're wild. You got so many colors you made in this planet. And all of a sudden, instead of the blue jay, I start thinking about the blue jay maker. And before I know it, my mind starts to realize and then prioritize the blue jay maker over everything. And in a matter of 35 seconds or less, all of a sudden, I'm in full-blown worship. Now, you see me, and you see me just what you think is just kind of mesmerized by a blue jay. And you think, poor soul, he needs a hug. But the truth is, I'm in full-blown worship. I've just realized through nature or through art, sometimes looking at you, that person is wild. Look at God, you made all the different people in there. You're amazing. And all of a sudden, realize, prioritize, and my mind starts thinking about God himself. And the Bible says, when that happens, nobody can ever take that from you. And it grows and it builds and it grows and it builds and it grows and it builds and it grows and it builds. And I love therapy, but my therapist can't quite do this. This is between me and the blue jay maker. And I can't take credit for this well, because most of worship has happened to me, not me happening it to work. Worship has happened to me. It just happens to me. And some of you, while I was telling the blue jay story, it started to happen to you right now. And you started to realize and prioritize the person of God over everything. And you've left the sermon as you should. This sermon only serves you to the level that it helps you worship. Once you start worshiping, you go wherever you need to go. Leave me behind, friend. I'm only a conduit. I'm only a placeholder. I'm just here for a moment. You don't got to focus on me. You don't got to focus on this sermon. This sermon is for you and him to do what only you and him can do together. If the blue jay maker is taking your mind, go wherever he wants to take your mind and build your well. Because I won't be there most likely when you need to draw some strength out. But that worship well will. So, I'm done, and this is how I close. So Jesus standing probably right in front of Mary on her carpet square. Martha's in the kitchen, she's like this. And Jesus says, nah, the thing she's doing is the thing that really matters, and it will never be taken away from her. So this is where we end while all of the musicians are coming out, because music is a wonderful platform to meet the Blue Jay maker. It's all these songs are, by the way. Some of you are like, you've never been in mass karaoke, so you're like, what is going on? It's just in hopes to get you caught up with the Blue Jay maker. That's it. So don't worry about the songs. You don't know them, who cares? It doesn't matter. It's just, you're just trying to realize and prioritize the person of God over everything. That's where the strength is. That's where the power is. That's what really matters in your soul. So all I want to do is just for a moment, I want you to ask and me to ask, what is Mary doing? What is Mary doing? Because everybody would tell you what worship is. Worship is sacrifice. Worship is singing. Worship is prayer. Worship is going on walks. Worship is writing poems. Worship is, yeah. But what is Mary doing? Because she seems to kind of embody. And the more you look at her, if you're like me, you come to this weird, odd conclusion of saying she's not doing much. To be fair, she's not doing much. But whatever she's doing is what we should be doing. But she's not doing much. Americans will not be impressed with what Mary is doing. What will grow your podcast and your personal brand is what Martha's doing, not what Mary's doing. Nobody's going to log in to watch you sit crisscross applesauce on your carpet square. They might actually. I'm going to be honest with you. They actually might. I disagree with myself. But anyways, they might actually. It's kind of a good idea. You think about it. But anyways. So this is how my brain works, and I'm done. For a moment, we're like, okay, just think, Mary, do you mind coming over here and just sit? Can we ask you what you're doing? Mary's like, yeah. Just come over here. Just you take a seat. I'll be Jason Kennedy. You be a celebrity on the red carpet, okay? And I'm going to interview you. Mary, honestly, for all the people here tonight who've read your story, listened to your story, thought about your story tonight, what were you doing over there? Mary, what were you doing? What do you mean? Over there, on the carpet square in front of Jesus. What was I doing? Oh, he was talking. I was listening to him. Have you not heard him talk? It's like no one I've ever heard talk. He's right. No, we know that you were listening, but like what were some of the keys, components, elements? What are some of the things you do to kind of get in that Zen state? Mary, I don't understand your question. We all want to do what you're doing, Mary, okay? I'm not trying to stress you out. It's a little frustrating. You're not please listen, okay? We want to know, Jesus has made it really clear to us that whatever you're doing, we got to be doing. So, again, let's put some handles on this, Mary. What were you doing? I mean, to be fair, Judah, I just was really excited when he came over. Mary, what? Do you mind if I take the mic for a minute? Sure. To be honest with you guys, and with all due respect to your sermon and everybody here tonight, so I was so excited that he came over to my house because Martha and I have been going through some stuff lately. And when he came, I didn't even know he was going to come today, and I needed him so bad. And he came. And so I feel really bad because I totally forgot about Martha. I always forget about Martha. She's so great. Martha, I love you. I don't know if you can hear me. But what happened was, Have you seen him smile? I've been around guys before. Nobody smiles like him. And I'm not trying to be weird, Judah, with all due respect to your sermon. I've never heard anyone talk like he talks. And I know this sounds strange, and this might not be the answer to your question, but when I look in his eyes, I just feel safe. And I don't know, I didn't mean to be a problem, and I should have been helping Martha. I feel so bad. I just really need him. And all of a sudden, it dawns on everyone in the room. She wasn't trying to do anything. God to her is a person who was in her home, who she really needs. And life is hard and painful and confusing, and so much seems pointless and meaninglessness. It's just like, and when he showed up, she was so grateful. So that to me is what I want to spend my life doing. Work, it has a place in my life. Of course it does. It's my honor to prepare my thoughts for you tonight and do what is my work. But at some point, even my work gives way to worship. And when they ask us, when we're old and gray, friends, and they laugh at us at bars when we want to show them our ID. When we're old and gray, I pray we'll say, I wasn't trying to do a podcast. I wasn't trying to sell a product. He became so real to me. And so I started spending time with him. How many hours would you spend with him? I didn't time it. I'm sure some days it was brief, but some days it went all morning. And I just love him. So friends, I dreamed of being a preacher someday. I really did. I dreamed of talking to people like you, and it's my privilege and honor, but I got to tell you the truth. At my age, it's not preaching that gets me going much anymore. It's when he shows up. I can't explain it to you. It's the realest thing in the universe to me. And I don't know how he does it or why he does it, but when I feel him in the room, I'm reminded it's the most sacred, precious, holy thing to me ever. And I told him this. I said, if you keep showing up, I'll keep doing this life you call me to. But the day you stop showing up, I'm not your guy, man. I'm not your guy. Because I well and truly cannot sit in a city while it burns to the ground if you don't show up. And at least give us something worth living for. Because it hurts down here and it's painful down here and my friends are going through hell, man. And so I need you to show up. And so I invite you, work, do your work. I applaud you. But perhaps, just maybe even now, what happened to Mary is happening to you. And I promise you in your darkest day, what's happening, it'll be there. Like the strongest memory and the strongest scent. And you'll know he's real and he'll see me through. And I'm going to be okay. God, I thank you for your presence in this theater tonight in Beverly Hills. I have never known anything more pure and anything more true than you. It's you, sir, the desire of all nations, the thing that we really crave and really want. It's you. It's your love. It's your nearness. It's your forgiveness. I admit, when you're here, I feel alive. I feel connected. I feel like myself. So I thank you. Time and time again, you have shown up not just for me, but so many of my friends who sit in this auditorium, you have shown up for them. I cannot help tonight but pray for millions of people in our wonderful, beautiful city of angels whose heart aches and heads spin because what they have cared for so dearly and deeply has been lost. Meet us here, God, in such a real, tangible way that not only we can start to go again and move again and have joy again, but perhaps we can bring it to others in need. Thank you. Just for a moment with your eyes closed, at this moment before we start enjoying the Blue Jay Maker even more, and we'll use music to do that. If you're here and you would like to express your faith in God, this is a decision that is first between you and God. And so with eyes closed just for a moment, I want to give you an opportunity to do that. In fact, people might be watching on the internet right now, and you can join me as well. But if you're here in this theater or watching anywhere in the world and you would like to express that you believe in God and you want to follow the way of Jesus, you don't have to raise your hand, but I think sometimes it just makes it more real to you. So oftentimes I'll give an invitation like this. So with eyes closed, so this is not a public expression. We're not here to embarrass anybody, but if you're here and you're like, my heart's burning, man. I believe God is real. I'd like to follow the way of Jesus. I'd like to know him. The Bible tells a simple story that Jesus had no sin so that he could die the worst form of death, humiliation and crucifixion, between two criminals. And there for 6 hours he would hang, and he would take all of the judgment from a perfect and just Heavenly Father in his body, so we who knew no sin, Jesus who knew no sin could become sin so that you and I could be free. Every selfish, harmful thing you have ever done or will ever do can be forgiven in one moment of faith. That is actually the free gift of Jesus. It is that simple. Please don't get hung up on all the religious tradition. It's just that free and simple. If you want to be forgiven forever, you do it not by deeds, effort, and work, but by accepting the gift. That's it. That's it. It's that simple. If you'd like to accept that gift of forgiveness forever and friendship with God, I want you to lift your hand and you can put it right back down. I just think it'll do something. Thank you. Hands all over the auditorium, perhaps hands going up in bedrooms and dorm rooms and living rooms. Lord, you see these hands. We acknowledge that you've paid the ultimate penalty for all of our selfish acts and deeds, and we're forgiven forever. And we are a friend of yours. We thank you for that. In your name, amen.